so far to harbor life. Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand.
Are you surprised? Yeah, me neither. I mean, the thing is, you can say all you want that Dubay is irrelevant since he disappeared to Thailand to spend time with the ladyboys, but unfortunately, you're wrong. As long as that anti-Semitic lord of internet shitposting continues to vomit his rhetoric onto YouTube, he is a problem. Saying he's irrelevant ignores the 24,000 people who watched his latest video, which means today, we have 24,000 people to correct. Before I continue, I just have a little message for any Dubay supporters who may find their way into my comments. There's a reason your Flurf Lord and Savior doesn't do live debates. Think about it for a second. There's a reason he hides in the shadows with his Nazi rhetoric and only comes out to collect his paycheck. Because he's a lying fraud, and how any of you are so pathetic as to follow that coward is beyond me. Now, let's move on to why he's an idiot.
Last week, NASA, the biggest black-budget black hole in existence.
Imagine being Eric Dubay. Imagine being so unbelievably stupid and short-sighted that you can't speak for 5 seconds, just 5 fucking seconds, without telling an outright and obvious lie. NASA is the biggest black-budget black hole in existence? Have you ever heard of this thing called the United States military, you ignorant mouth breather? Imagine being so fucking stupid that you think 0.49% of the federal budget is a black hole, but 15% apparently just doesn't fucking exist.
Sucking in $52 million of American taxpayer money every single day.
Oh, great. I love when you use numbers. That makes it so much easier to show how half-brain you are. So $56 million a day is a black hole. The military costs $2 billion a day. I don't see you bitching about those numbers, you fraud.
Just spent $2.3 billion of your dollars to allegedly land a remote control car on Mars for the 5th time.
Yep, sure did. Take out the word allegedly and that's correct. Got a problem with that, expat? You don't live there, you don't pay for it, so shut the fuck up.
Yes, the multi-billion-dollar charade of landing on Mars has been happening since 1976, and thanks to the gullible, unquestioning masses enthralled and duped by these ridiculous Hollywood performances, they will most likely continue for decades to come.
Yep, and they'll continue until you can provide a single piece of evidence why any of this is a charade. We've been waiting since 1976.
To begin with, the tiny reddish circular light in the sky known as Mars is not a spherical terra firma world millions of miles away capable of landing a rover on. All of the so-called planets were known to the ancients as wandering stars.
Yes, and do you know why they were called that, Eric? Because they wandered, you fucking mongoloid. They didn't move with the rest of the stars. Mars moves backwards for a portion of the year. Do you have an explanation for that, Eric? Because we do. Second, it is not a light in the sky, and your disingenuous footage here is not proof of that. All you have here is a halfwit who can't figure out how to focus his telescope. This is what Mars looks like with a telescope, no NASA required. Oh, excuse me, that was Mars during a dust storm. It normally looks more like this. What's that? You can't have dust storms on a light? Well, I'll fucking be.
Because they differ from the fixed stars in their relative motions only. To them, stars were not spherical worlds millions of miles away, or suns trillions of miles away, as we are brainwashed to believe they are today.
Those same people also believed in sea monsters and magical powers. Ancient peoples are not a good reference for pretty much anything that isn't surface level.
Stars were and are simply luminaries, immaterial lights in the sky several thousand, not millions, of miles away, that revolve over and around the Earth.
Focus your camera, idiot. Seriously, this is what Dubay followers think. Eric showed me a picture of the real Mars. There's no way he's lying to me or doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Imagine being so unbelievably stupid as to believe Eric Dubay. Second, the existence of radar disproves your entire argument. Radar, you know, that thing that ancient civilizations didn't have access to. If these lights are only a few thousand miles away, why doesn't radar bounce off of them? I'll wait, Eric.
The Masonic magicians at NASA and the other world space agencies, using lying actor-nauts and Hollywood tricks like green screens, wires, harnesses, and endless amounts of CGI images, through pseudoscience books and programs, mass media and public education, universities and government propaganda, have systematically indoctrinated the entire world into believing what is nothing but an elaborate piece of science fiction.
All buzzwords. That entire thing was just bullshit rhetoric that he didn't back up whatsoever. In fact, I already disproved his on-screen evidence with a 5-second YouTube search.
As you can clearly see for yourself with a bit of research, a telescope or high-zoom camera, and an open, discerning mind actually honestly admitting to yourself what is and what isn't a CGI, computer-generated image, it is obvious that the light in the sky known as Mars is not some science fiction desert planet millions of miles away.
Yeah, you say that, but every amateur astronomer who knows what they're doing sees a desert planet millions of miles away. But you're half right, Eric. Get a telescope, not a P900 because that is a consumer-grade camera that's incapable of recording stars effectively. Learn how to use it, and eventually you'll be able to confirm pretty much everything NASA says. Eric wants you to believe that this image is CGI. The truth is, it was taken by some guy in his backyard.
The CGI images NASA shows of a spherical world are clearly and admittedly not photographs, and look nothing like Mars when seen through a telescope.
Except they do, and you continuing to lie does not disprove the evidence staring you in the face. Second, did you notice how he said NASA images are admittedly not photographs, and then just moved on? Yeah, that's not how that works, buddy. You say they admitted it, but you need to provide evidence of that.
Meanwhile, the actual photographs NASA claims are coming from this completely other world look exactly like they are coming from Devon Island, Canada, with a red tint added in post-processing.
And now Eric is outright lying. Big surprise. That right side image isn't from NASA and isn't claimed to be Mars. Eric or his friends made it up themselves. How do I know this? Because not a single one of them has managed to go to Devon Island and perfectly recreate any Mars photo that has ever been taken. Do it just once, and you have an argument. But when you lie just once, you lose the argument forever.
There is nothing being shown in NASA's photographs of Mars that cannot easily be faked on Earth. And given the lack of skepticism or scrutiny from the gullible masses, they barely have to fake any evidence too. Just give them a computer screen of a CGI parachute with a CGI rover landing on a CGI Mars, and film a bunch of compartmentalized NASA 20-something employees straight out of space camp getting giddy and high-fiving each other. And that is literally all it takes. The unquestioning masses now thoroughly believe NASA has landed their 5th remote control car tens of millions of miles away and are receiving photographs from it through the internet. Yes, that's right. How do you think NASA sends and receives all data to and from this remote control car? They apparently have internet technology so strong and fast that they can operate a remote control vehicle from tens of millions of miles away.
I let him ramble for a bit because his images are continuing to lie for him while he blithers on about nothing of substance. None of those were actual NASA images. Again, Dubay has done nothing to disprove NASA's claims, merely laughed at people that he calls sheep. Nothing more. Second, in regards to communication, it's called line of sight, and it's existed since the beginning of wireless communication. So about 100 years or more, Eric. That's how behind the times you want your masses to be.
Do we, the public, have any independent evidence whatsoever that such technology actually exists?
Yes. Yes, we do. Perseverance was tracked on its way to Mars by amateur astronomers for its entire journey, confirming that an object the size of the lander was traveling exactly where, when, and at the speeds NASA said it was. Oh, and look, here's some amateur ham radio operators who intercepted signals from the Curiosity rover. But sure, we have no evidence because Eric said so.
Of course not, and it isn't necessary. Again, because the science fiction indoctrinated masses are so bedazzled by their pseudoscientific priests at NASA that they don't require things like proof or evidence.
Kind of like how, for this entire video, Eric has provided zero evidence for any of his claims. Also, ham radio operators.
When they are pressed on such matters, like the original moon landing tapes, LEM blueprints, telemetry data, and other physical proof, NASA says they filmed over the original moon landing tapes and conveniently lost all the physical evidence.
And when you are confronted with the fact that you're lying about that, you stick your fingers in your ears and say, nuh-uh. NASA lost SSTV footage that was stored on telemetry tapes, nothing more. Blueprints were never lost and remain accessible to this day. Eric is literally making shit up.
As NASA actor-naut Don Pettit stated, "I would go back to the moon in a nanosecond, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again."
Word to the wise, Eric. When you already sound like a nasally little bitch boy, impressions don't help your case. And yeah, asked and answered a million times, but you guys just ignore the answers and plead incredulity.
So that is their excuse for why we haven't been back to the moon in 50 years. Because they destroyed the technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But apparently they have had the tech since 1976, just a few years after the Apollo missions, to send Viking to Mars, which is allegedly over 100 times further away than the moon.
And now Eric actually expects his intellectually stunted followers to not understand the difference between sending people somewhere and sending a robot somewhere. And he'd be right, his followers are fucking morons who never question his word.
Now let's talk about the supposed parachutes deployed by these rovers when landing. NASA says the surface pressure on Mars is only 0.3% of the surface pressure on Earth, and equivalent to the pressure at about 23 miles above Earth. This fact alone blows their hoax out of the water. Any skydiver knows there is not nearly enough air matter at that pressure to provide any kind of lift for opening and billowing out the parachutes NASA uses to land its Mars probes. No parachute ever devised has been able to successfully deploy at that altitude.
Citation needed. Eric just says it and then says, any skydiver would agree, but he couldn't get off his lazy ass to find a single one to actually say it. Therefore, I call bullshit until proven otherwise.
They simply stream straight back, then never fill the rest of the way down. Joe Kittinger's record highest, fastest, and longest parachute dive from the Earth's upper atmosphere had him free-falling from only 19 miles high for 15 minutes at 767 miles per hour, and his drogue chute proved useless and offered no deceleration. Yet NASA would have us believe, for example, that their 2008 Phoenix's drone parachute managed to somehow slow it down from 12,738 miles per hour to 123 miles per hour in just 2.86 minutes before its final landing.
Herder, let me compare a commercial parachute opening on Earth to the single most expensive parachute ever built operating on a completely different planet. Shut the fuck up, Eric. I'm done with your stupid ass. God, you piss me off. Everything you say is so objectively stupid and easily proven wrong, which is why you're too much of a pussy to bring your coward ass onto a single live stream to debate anybody. Little bitch boy does little bitch things, Earth keeps on turning.
Well, it turns out Kevin's far too lazy to do maths, which means I've got to do it. Which is really scary, because I don't do maths. Ever. You evil bar steward, Kevin.
Now let's talk about the supposed parachutes deployed by these rovers when landing. NASA says the surface pressure on Mars is only 0.3% of the surface pressure on Earth.
0.3%. Can you for once get something right? Please Please, it would be nice. Now, Mars's average surface pressure is about 6 to 7 millibars on average, so we'll take 6 millibars. Earth on average pressure is 1013 millibars, so that's 0.59%. You can do the maths. I don't know why you get things so wrong. Yes, not much pressure on Mars. Yes, we understand this. Point.
And equivalent to the pressure at about 23 miles above Earth. This fact alone blows their hoax out of the water. Any skydiver knows there is not nearly enough air matter at that pressure to provide any kind of lift for opening and billowing out the parachutes NASA uses to land its Mars probes.
You made me do it. You made me do fucking maths. You asshole. Because I very much guarantee you didn't bother to do maths. Now, we found a page that'll work out the drag and shit for a fucking parachute. So, we started with the mass. Fucking sides. We started with the mass of the rover at 1,025 kilos. The gravitational acceleration of Mars, 3.71 meters a second. The air density, 0.02 kilos per cubic meter. Awesome. And then we did the projected area of the parachute. Now, this is where I might have fucked up, because I could find the radius, the diameter of the parachute, but not how curved it was, how tall it was, so we could work out a proper area. So I just put it in a circle calculator and halved it, which is where we get the 726 meters squared. With the standard drag coefficient, because it's still a parachute and it's still half a circle, so yeah. That could, in theory, with that density and that weight, slow it down to 70. And it only slowed it down to 200. Now, yes, there's the added weight of the helicopter and the landing assist thing. So, yes, it does work. The maths show it works. Unless you've got some information, Mr. Dubay, that it doesn't, fuck off. It's as simple as that, really, because at this point, unless you're going to go and do maths, find the surface area of the parachute, get the full weight, which I could have done, but I'm fucking far too lazy to do, then no, it works. You saying it doesn't work with all flat earth stuff doesn't change the fact it works. And you're just a liar. You're just a fucking liar.
If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe and turn on the bell for notifications. If you want to support me further, consider becoming a member or a patron, or checking out my merch or my Amazon links. Thank you, and I will see you over the curve, Space Cowboys.
In a vast cosmic arena. Our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some